Chapter 2. The Middle of the Night.
Fuck my life.
Neil wasn't doing so hot. He looked over the edge, memories gurgling like lava. An enduring legacy would be so easy.
Hashtag suicide is painless. You'll take me seriously now, motherfuckers.
He'd miss his dog and Mom would be destroyed. But would anyone else even care? Heather? She was his personal pair of anguish, an endless reservoir of pain. He closed his eyes and stood like a statue, teetering on the brink, surrendering to the air.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
Vito's fist landed squarely in Neil's eye. It was lights out, the only sound the chirping of crickets. It was lunch period, but lost in that black emptiness, it might as well have been the middle of the night. Given the choice, he'd have remained there, unconscious, suspended in the dark oblivion. But he was roused back into space-time by his ass and elbow smacking the concrete. The crickets chirped some more as his sight galloped back into focus on a chariot of twinkling stars. Like a videotape fast-forwarding, time and sound sped up until the scene made sense. He was surrounded by the legs of teenagers. As the trilling faded into the babbling chatter of a bright outdoor cafeteria, a mordant voice echoed out of the shrouds of dreary shadows.
Oh shit, son! You got knocked the fuck out!
His memory of the punch was as funky as James Brown, but it didn't matter. Reality, per usual, had been lying in wait to dole out another harsh dram.
Oh, right. I'm getting my ass kicked in front of the whole school.
You just won't ever shut up, huh? Nerd!
Vito yelled as he kicked Neil in the ribs. Not enough leg to nail a 50-yarder, but the searing pain jolted him fully back into his body. He pressed his fingers to his throbbing eye.
Ow! That's gonna leave a mark.
He saw the greasy black hair first as he looked up. The angry ruddy cheeks and bulging neck veins. The upper lip crooked into a menacing snarl. There was something sublimely perfect about his dumb face. Vito was a junior and wore his dirty number 72 jersey and a pair of old frayed-in-the-knee jeans every friggin' day. Average size for a lineman, he was still a wholesome specimen with an easy 60 pounds on the loser cowering beneath his size 11 Timberland. He carried a comb in his back pocket. He'd obsessively slick back the thick locks he'd lube up with cheap pomade. Yeah, he was that guy. He was Mo to a couple of minions Neil referred to as Larry and Curly. They'd never formally introduced themselves when they'd started kicking his ass on the reg, so he just called them all the Stooges. Freshman year was the bomb. As he looked around, he noticed a number of his good-natured peers were kind enough to film his humiliation for posterity.
The smartphone has done wonders for humanity.
Hell, the cocksuckers were even live streaming the event, adding precious gems of commentary like Lil Homeboy's looking for his moms and hashtag bitch got dropped. High school was a true bastion of class.
Are you not entertained?
Realizing he was a cause celeb, he figured he'd continue the bit that had wound him up on the ground.
Vito, I'm just trying to help you, bro. I'm telling you, I saw that chromosome you're missing. Look, it's right over there by the fish sticks.
Vito turned and looked to the lunch line, and Neil heard a bystander laugh.
See? He gets it.
He contemplated getting up off the ground, but before he could stand, a tray of processed grub exploded over him like a carpet bomb.
Here's your goddamn fish sticks, loser. Only thing missing is your mind. You see any monsters lately, nutjob?
Vito was cracking himself up. Neil had been gifted a tartar sauce facial, but he was more concerned with the spilled spunk on his guitar case.
Damn it, it's gonna stain. I love that case.
He was pissed. There ought to be a law about fucking with a dude's guitar.
You stained my case, you fucking jabroni!
He yelled as he stood up.
And yeah, cool. I'm a nutjob. Whatever you say, Vito.
He flipped a piece of mystery fish off his shirt.
At least I have an imagination.
Oh yeah, Looney Tunes? Imagine this!
Said Curly as he punched him in the stomach. The crowd of paparazzi pupils moaned and groaned. Some high fives were exchanged.
Damn, Looney Tune getting stuck.
Cracked a peanut from the gallery. High school devoured the week like ripe peaches and spit him out like the stones. Upon arrival at his new school, Neil had found a nickname waiting for him. Somehow, his brief sojourn at the state hospital last summer had become public knowledge. A mushroom trip gone awry. So much for doctor-patient confidentiality. Hunched over, pathetically gasping for his wind, he heard a familiar voice.
Stop it, Vito! Leave him alone!
Yelled Heather. Her friends were laughing, but she didn't find Neil's drubbing one bit funny.
Oh, how sweet. Your girlfriend's here to save you.
Vito squawked before imitating her obnoxiously.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
I'm
She's
not
not
his
my
girlfriend.
Neil jinxed her. The indignities were piling up.
Like I'd ever corrupt her gene pool with my mutation.
He hoped some wit would save him some face in front of the live studio audience.
You would wear jeans in the pool, loser.
Vito was kind enough to alert the village he'd found their idiot. A teacher lazily looked up from across the cafeteria.
Break it up, you guys. What's going on over there?
He didn't even pretend to give two shits, but it was enough to disperse the melee.
You're a tough little bastard. I'll give you that.
Vito motioned to Larry and Curly.
Let's go.
I'll see you guys in gym.
Neil snickered as his harrier sauntered off towards future triumphs, and the disappointed crowd slithered back to their crap food and social media feeds. Heather frowned as she picked up his guitar.
You're such a masochist, Neil. Why don't you just shut up?
What fun would that be?
He grinned as he flicked a piece of relish off his arm.
Oh yeah, looks like you're having lots of fun.
She brushed some breadcrumbs from his hair, then licked her finger and smeared away some fish gack from his forehead. He'd known Heather since kindergarten, and aside from his dog and his wit, she was his only friend. He'd never told her, but she could tell he was enamored with her.
You're talking to me again. Must be doing something right.
Well, you were giving me shit for dating Bobby. You were being a dick.
What? All I said was I never figured you the captain of the football team type. Excuse me for presuming you'd want more than a pretty face and strapping pythons.
He lifted his bony arm and flexed.
He is quite the snack, though, isn't he?
Whatever, hater. Actually, he's really nice.
Neil had stopped listening.
Friggin' sauce and shit all over this bad boy. It's gonna stink for a week.
Jesus, you care more about your guitar than your face. What the hell is wrong with you?
Oh, you mean aside from being the butt of some sick cosmic joke?
Neil Goodman, I seriously don't get you.
Cool. Everybody loves a mystery.
His wise-ass smirk betrayed him. Inside, he was fracturing under the pressure of mod life. She could see the cracks.
Are you alright?
She tenderly wiped away the dried-up tartar from his cheek.
What's the difference? Nobody gives a shit.
He was bummed.
I give a shit. You know I do.
Ow!
He winced as she gently touched his eye, then patted his shoulder with the sweetness of an older sister. She smiled, then turned her pretty head and walked away, gait flowing with the grace of a classically trained dancer. Lost in her beauty, he dotingly watched until she slid in next to Bobby, and a wrecking ball walloped his heart. Fuck my life. The stragglers scrammed as the second bell strafed his frazzled nerves. A surreal poster on the wall caught his attention. A crappy drawing of a ram battering a bird, the caption in bad graffiti font. "Let's go, goats! Give the Eagles hell!" Jesus fucking Christ, someone actually made that shit? Just kill me already. He realized he was tardy and made his way inside. There was something extra pitiful about the empty halls. His head throbbed as he dragged his feet past the green lockers, the onslaught of baffling stupidity justifying his devotion to misery. You'd have to be crazy not to be depressed. Crying in school was absurd, so he flicked a few padlocks and fought back the tears as a hazy white light began to obscure the ceiling. He sighed, trying to remain calm as the radiant aurora turned blue and yellow as it spiraled into a whirlpool. It was unsettling, but he wasn't surprised. He'd been seeing this weird vortex his whole life, much more since his sojourn at the funny farm. He sensed some ethereal beings watching him, but the bizarre, otherworldly presence certainly wasn't the type of audience he'd been seeking.
It's not real.
But the thing was as clear as day. If he was hallucinating, he was damn good at it. He trudged onwards, trying his best to ignore the nastier voices telling him Looney Tunes was a spot-on nickname. This porthole to the nether regions often brought forth flurries of inspiration and supernatural visions. And sure enough, as he flicked a few more locks, the rhythmic clack-clacking of metal echoed like a tom-snare-tom drumbeat in his head. He tried it again, this time hearing a somber choir over the clack-clack-clack of the bolts. As he sluggishly shuffled and hummed, he wiped a teardrop from his tumescent flesh, and the vortex disappeared as rumly as it had arrived. Up ahead, an older professor in a white lab coat was striding down the hall, staring at him eagerly through thick black horn-rimmed glasses. His tall quiff of gray and white hair bounced wildly as he passed, flashing a giddy smile.
Gawk munch creep.
Neil figured him a science teacher. He was a frosh at a big new school. There were new faces every day. Mundane sights and sounds were fodder for the incessant songs in his head. Some words formed inside the melody as his worn-out soul slid over the dusty floor. He sang softly, the meaning obscure, like his feckless existence.
6 streets alone in sorrow, quarantine, metal and chrome, and trouble, isolation.
Clearly his muses were indifferent to his emotional health. Could a merry lad pen a sad tune? His face was pummeled, his ego shattered, and his dignity deserved the sight of a milk carton. It wasn't a Cohen he'd wrestle with.
4 more years of this shit? No way in hell.
As he vacantly flicked some more locks, some rube with a bathroom pass sauntered by, ogling him with baffled eyes.
What's his problem?
Neil stopped at the mirror above the water fountain. He was in that awkward phase. Puberty was late to the party. He looked younger than a typical 9th grader, though there was nothing typical about his reflection. His coal-black hair was shaved into a short mohawk. One eye was red from crying, the other a few shades of purple, nearly swollen shut. The bridge of his oversized adolescent schnoz was 2-minute and braided, and his lean, tawny cheeks were moist with sweat and tears. There were crusty remnants of fish stick spooge on his hairless chin and neck, and rising up from his back was his guitar, its soft case splattered with oily tartar.
Freak. I'd gawk at me too.
There was no way he was strolling into class late like this. Instead, he pushed on the thick glass and exited the heavy metal door. He dragged his weary shit ass into the shade of a twisted old juniper to escape the light, and with more privacy, the tears began to rain. With the echoes of melancholy gambling through his head, he took out his guitar and quickly found a little arpeggio to sing over.
Hey man,
shouldn't you be in class? You can't just hang out here.
The school security guard startled him. Neil had seen the guy before. He was just doing his job, not trying to be a dick.
Okay, I get it. I'm going,
he said feebly as he wobbled to his feet and put his guitar away.
Joe, hermano, what happened to your eye? Are you okay? Yeah, bro, I'm good. Thanks. That's a serious shiner, ese? Maybe go to the nurse and get some ice. Yeah, maybe. Alright, I will. Have a good day, alright, bro? You too, buddy. Don't let the pendejos get you down, okay?
His eyes defiant, he offered an encouraging smile.
Okay, sure thing. If only it were that simple.
They walked off in opposite directions. At the base of the clock tower, a fire ladder was hanging down. Someone had left it unlatched. He glanced back and played it cool until Deputy Dog rounded the corner. Then he jumped to grab it. He missed, but on the next try, the top knuckle of his middle finger hooked the rung and it slid down. It was 3 floors to the highest point on campus. He moved quickly to avoid being spotted. As he stepped onto the roof, he scampered over the small clock minaret, then continued up another short ladder, humming his new tune to ward off the dizziness. He wasn't a huge fan of heights. Down below, the cafeteria was buzzing with lunchtime liberation. More fodder for his crippling malaise. Like some surreal, never-ending nightmare, Vito's dumb voice rose up from the cacophony of hollow drivel.
If I keep this up, I'll bench 300 soon.
He flexed his bicep beneath the rolled-up sleeve of his football jersey.
Yeah, right, bro. You could barely lift 250.
Curly replied.
Do you even lift, bro? Shut up. You don't know shit.
Oh, what's God's big fascination with morons? He sure makes a lot.
Disgusted, he tread carefully to the end of the tower and then stepped to the edge.